figured this out for real, like possibly a very legitimate reason why most of Gen Z just ain't seeming to be down with metal music. And so what, right? But the reason behind it's pretty damn interesting, I think. And it blows me away. I'm like, how the hell can anyone younger during a period of their life when rebellion's supposed to reign in their blood think a song like Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish or Die With a Smile by Bruno Mars even comes anywhere close to touching See You in Hell, Grim Reaper, or Toxic Waltz, Exodus? I had to look those songs up, like what's charting at the moment. But real quick before I start spewing, just so there's no confusion, you know whenever anybody starts a sentence out like, with all due respect, and it almost always is something disrespectful that follows, you might as well just say, all due respect, but fuck you. And it's the same with, now the following is not intended to, like, yeah, fuck it is, come on. But in this instance, I swear what I'm gonna raise honestly isn't intended to shit on Gen Z, and in fact, if you watch further, you won't hear any shit talk at all. It's merely an observation of how probably 80% of Zoomers are way more into electronically driven music like rap and pop, and I think I finally figured out why. Originally, I thought it might have had something to do with the powers that be, whoever they are, purposely trying to change things. But after I had this revelation through first-hand experience, I'm not so sure social engineering's to blame. I'll begin. 2 videos ago, somebody, What's Up Distortion Principle, commented that I should throw a compressor on the audio on here. So okay, I open Logic, that's an audio workstation like Pro Tools, and I start dicking around. While I'm in there, however, just for the hell of it, I start messing around with the piano roll, which is a part of the software that lets you create melodies and drum beats and stuff. And it's got a ton of things to work with, like virtual instruments and samples and loops, just all kinds of shit. Literally millions of combos. So I'm having fun. I'm moving drum beats around and adding wacky synthesizer stuff here and there, and before I know it, I got like a full song. Long story short, over the next couple days, I found I had 4 other songs. Granted, probably some of the stupidest sounding shit you'd ever hear, but I can honestly say I had a friggin' blast making it. Then I'm like, you know what'd be funny is if this crap had vocals on it that sounded like Mike 9 from I Hate God. So I grab a 58, I plug in, I start doing my best Michael Williams. No actual lyrics, like just yelling. And then I'm like, this bullshit would be fun to hear while I'm driving around, or even to share with friends. I bet they'd think it's funny too. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna mix it, master it, hell, I'll even design a cover for it and throw it up on streaming. So that's what I did. I came up with song names and an album title, a band name, like fucking A, you know? And this is when I started to have this revelation. All this production was easy as hell to do, like to sound professional, and it took practically no time at all. Not only no time, but no actual physical instruments were needed either. I didn't have to worry about pissing anybody off because the amps were too loud, no disagreements over riffs with another band member because hell, I was the only band member and I had complete creative control over every single aspect. Everything right on my bed. Now onto the young folks. If you take into consideration how supposedly teenagers way enjoy just staying in these days instead of going out and interacting with people, then it's easy to understand why the sole producer route's the preferred way to do things. But stay with me for a sec, because simple ease of use is not what I'm getting at as for why I'm convinced Gen Z is not big on metal. It's something else. Because at this point you might be thinking like, what does the fact that this stuff's just easy to make have to do with the reason why their taste centers around electronic stuff? I'll lay it out. If you remember how instantaneous the whole process is, now switch to the mindset of the suit in Hollywood for a second that's actually gonna push it. It's way cheaper to push music made completely in a bedroom than to pay for a full band studio time and like their gear rental and then a mixing engineer after everything's been recorded, and then putting them on the road and worrying about the singer's coke habit leading to an onstage meltdown or some shit. And when it comes time to promote it, this is the big thing. All those headaches can be avoided by just paying some influencer to say the electronic sound's what's in today. And you don't even have to pay them with money. Just put them up in a mansion somewhere for a weekend owned by another Hollywood friend with a couple Lambos out in front and like let them take pictures for their Instagram so they can get a little E-fame, and you end up saving millions. But back to ease for a sec. Let me just tell you, man, this stupid robot bullshit right here that I made was a metric shit ton simpler to make than this over here. Yeah, like that's an album I recorded as a Christmas present for a friend who, she bought me this really nice limited edition Les Paul and these really expensive studio headphones and this Logic plug-in so I could record MIDI stuff with the guitar and even the shirt that I was wearing in the picture. It's mainly ancient influenced, little Carpathian forest too, I guess, but yeah, it's called Medieval Count. But But the thing of it is, you already know all the obvious reasons why using actual instruments is mountains harder than just pushing a bunch of boxes around on a grid. And when it came time to mix it, forget about it. It sounds like total dog shit. Yeah, it's out there. You can hear it for yourself. So ultimately, how the contrast between electronic stuff and traditional metal music manifests on a consumer scale is you got a much cheaper way to make the computer stuff. So the record companies push that as what's cool because it's nearly costless to promote it as long as you got some influencers in your contacts, and there you fucking have it. Simple as that. And I'll even go further and cite something on the flip side that might explain why I, for one, very likely you too, if I know my audience well, obviously prefers organic music, let's call it. It's because the robot stuff just sounds way too blatantly mechanical. Here's a second of the bullshit that I made. Wouldn't you agree that would have sounded way better if it was like, instead of if it was like but okay, now switch over to the real kind of thing and tell me if its production doesn't sound like complete shit compared to Balloon Biter, where most of the virtual instruments are already EQ'd and stuff. Now yeah, obviously it's possible for that mix to sound way better, but what would that have required? Fucking time, practice, and expertise. You see what I'm saying? If you're part of some big music conglomerate whose sole reason for existence is to make money and nothing else, and you know you can maximize profit by capitalizing on the cheapest way to do so, you're gonna make damn sure your consumers are pounded with the belief that your shit's cool and something like metal ain't. Like, you can see it for yourself. Remember when all those reaction type videos were really popular a few years back? Despite being presented with some damn good music, the Zoomers just couldn't get down with it because they were too programmed to think otherwise. And believe me, like I said, I'm not even talking shit or trying to make it out like I'm some kind of real free thinker or whatever. I'm sure there's tons of stuff I've been influenced by that I wouldn't have been had it not been for some overlord somewhere being behind it. It's just the state of the world we live in, I guess. But yeah, man, so that's where I'm at. I'm convinced that the reason Zoomers are way bigger on hip-hop and dance stuff instead of rock isn't necessarily because that's what's in their blood, but rather because in their brain, they've been told what's cool happens to be the cheaper thing pushed by the execs. But regardless of all this being the case, I, as a result of even being a small YouTuber, have gotten to rub shoulders with some industry people on the back end, the machine, if you will, that keeps heavy metal rolling as best it can. And in gaining a little insight, I do very firmly predict that in about 6-7 years time, possibly a slight bit longer, it will reemerge and be the dominant subgenre again like it was in the 80s and the mid-2000s. Fine by me. Alright man, please by all means let me know your thoughts, because it's always fun hearing them. I really mean that. And if you did like this video, cool, maybe you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you just like hearing somebody bullshit about heavy metal, then do the toxic waltz right into that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on Concrete Spew, but until then, later my friends.